Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than our Brother Reginald Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Well, alaikum salam, Brother Joshua, and to you, the family, and the entire listening audience and the believers. Wa alaikum salam. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Now that we have the opportunity and honor of speaking with you, this is something that has been in the making for quite some time. So I'm honored to have you come and speak on such an important conversation, such an important topic, as well as learn about your life journey. The first question we want to start off with it is why reparations? What is so important that we address about reparations?
Because reparations, Brother Joshua, and to the entire family, it's about repairing the damage. And that damage there is some spiritual damage, economic, physical, as well as psychological damage that has happened to a people. And you and I know, as first off, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is but one God, and I further bear witness to all of the prophets. And I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. And just want to let you know that I am, for maybe some first-time guests on it, I am a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan. And Brother Joshua, again, thank you for allowing me to be on your platform tonight and to take some questions and to have a conversation on complete reparations. But reparations is so important because, again, there is some spiritual, psychological, as well as physical, as well as economic damage that has happened to Black people. And that damage has never been repaired. And so reparations is about repairing the damage. If you say that that we were robbed of our names, our language, our culture, our God, and our land, and we talking about since the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, now we're here in 2024, and we still having some of the problems that we've had as a result of the enslavement and trafficking of Black people. Notice I didn't say the transatlantic slave trade. I said the transatlantic enslavement and trafficking of Black people, of people who have been traumatized, terrorized, tortured, and tormented for centuries. And nobody has ever, I'm talking about raped, ruined, raptured, and reviled for centuries. Nobody has dealt with the damage of Black people. And so reparations will address that. Complete reparations will address that. And for your audience, just to lay a base, let me, because you'll hear me saying throughout the broadcast, complete reparations. Let me clearly define what complete reparations is. It is the process by which a nation of people is provided with the means to repair and restore their condition, achieve complete decolonization, and make themselves whole through the ability to self-govern, self-sustain, and self-defend in their own independent landmass, economy, education, culture, and high civilization. Complete reparations, again, is the process by which a nation of people is provided with the means to repair and restore their condition, achieve complete decolonization, and make themselves whole through the ability to self-govern, self-sustain, and self-defend with their own independent landmass, economy, education, culture, and high civilization. And Brother Joshua, if you say that we have a illiteracy problem in Black America, a homeless problem, incarceration problem, the breakup of the Black family, an economic crisis, a poverty level, and a suicide rate among our young people and adults in America. And I will suggest to you that is not the problem of Black people. That's the result of the problem. And the problem is that we have never repaired the damage. So it's from generation to generation, it's become systemic. That's why reparations is critically important, complete reparations. And when I say complete reparations, Brother Joshua, and to your audience, if we don't end up with complete reparations, it will end up being remnants, rations, and residuals that a people will end up with. It won't be complete reparations. But complete reparations is so important because finally, you're talking about the restoration, the transformation, and elevation of Black life to its highest point, to its highest degree that is sustainable and successful for the remainder of the 21st century. You're talking complete reparations. There's no other political policy. There is, I will suggest, as a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, there is no other political policy or economic agenda. If it's not complete reparations, it'll end up being patchwork and peanuts and popcorn for the masses of our people. But when you start talking about how do you finally, the masses of our people. I'm not talking about the black bourgeois sector. I'm talking about the masses of the people. If you say you want to bring the homeless rate down throughout America, you say the illiteracy rate, the public health crisis in Black America, the economic crisis in Black America, the crisis with the underfunding of historically Black colleges, Black farmers who have not been paid, Pookie and Ray rating them, free vocational training, and overcoming illiteracy, and the suicide rate that we've never seen in Black America before. What will do that is complete reparations. Everything else is patchwork, brother. Anything else a politician come to you, it end up being patchwork if it's not complete reparations.
Go ahead and teach me, Reginald. Yes, sir. All praise due to Allah. And people are showing you love all around the world. So Naima says, Assalamu alaikum, family. Alaikum salam. Brother Nelson Ramos. Thank you, Brother Nelson Ramos, for showing love. Says, Assalamu alaikum, beautiful people. Sister Miriam says, ASA family. Alaikum salam, ma'am. And can't wait to upload this to YouTube. I wanted to ask you, sir, other countries have received reparations. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why do you think that other countries have received reparations before Black Americans or Black people who live in America?
Okay, and not only other countries have received reparations, but America has paid reparations, brother, from the early 1900s. In fact, after the enslavement and trafficking of Black people, and after the Emancipation Proclamation, white farm landowners and property owners, brother, they were given reparations, brother. And so they've always paid reparations, but because of their disrespect and the disdain for Black people, brother, they have never given us reparations. And then one of the problems too, Brother Joshua, is, and to the audience, is Black people, brother, we have picketed, protested, petitioned, and pleaded for reparations. But one of the things, in my estimation, that one reason why we have not seriously gotten reparations is because of our lack of organization and our great level of fear that we have for the enemy. And so in that, Brother Joshua, one of the things that we have been organizing for reparations for over 100 years. Black men and women from Callie House, from the early 1900s, Callie House, she led the largest movement of Blacks that have organized and struggled for reparations. And the reason why the American government has not paid us reparations, Brother Joshua, because one of the things, we're divided over the question of reparations, and then our fear and our ignorance over reparations is one reason why we have not been taken seriously. Now, let me explain to you, to move away from the theory part of it. If you ask Black America and all the organizations that are opting out and who are struggling for reparations, who are saying that we want reparations, and ask them, okay, the theory is fine, the history is fine, and we're able to document all of that, hundreds of books and tens of thousands of pages on reparations, but ask them where the blueprint is. How do you do it? See, if you tell me during 1988, the Japanese got reparations in America, it's known as the Civil Liberties Act of 1988. They got reparations after they were put in internment camps here. Property was taken and seized. They were again incarcerated. Property was seized and everything else. They were rounded up. And so the Civil Liberties Act of 1988, they got reparations, brother. And the United States will pay reparations. And do you know, before President Obama left office, he and Joe Biden pushed through the last reparations bill that Black people, many of them, are not aware of. But what they found is that there were thousands of Jewish people in America who were below the poverty level. And that was the last reparations bill that was millions of dollars paid for. And this is 2016. So the U.S. will pay reparations, brother, but Blacks lacking a model and a methodology, our lack of unity, and then our ignorance of what reparations is. That was one reason why we have not gotten reparations. And that critique and criticism of myself and others who have been in the movement. I've been blessed to do the work for over 30 years. And my critique and criticism of myself, all praises due to Allah, that we lack a clear model and methodology. Why is that important, Brother Joshua, and to the entire audience? It would be like you coming into one of my classes at Clark Atlanta University or at Morehouse at Spelman, and I'm teaching. And you walk in there the first day, and I tell you all that we're going to be doing for that semester, but I don't ever provide a syllabus for you. That's going to be a chaotic, off the hip, off the cuff class all semester if I don't provide a syllabus giving you the who, what, when, where, and why, and the content of that class. Brother Josh, again, let's give you another example why the blueprint and the blueprint, a model and methodology is so important. It would be like me saying here in Atlanta, I'm going to build the biggest building anywhere in Atlanta that they've never seen before, a commercial building, 300 stories high. Well, every time you see me, I'm talking about building a building, but I don't ever produce a blueprint to produce that building. Well, I'm just talking because you can't go through zoning and planning department in the city of Atlanta and build a building, residential or commercial, if you don't provide some form of plans, a blueprint. Black people had never provided a blueprint for reparations. If I tell you, but Joshua, look here, brother, let's start this corporation. It'll be a multinational corporation. It'll be global, and I'm talking about the corporation. And then I tell you, okay, Josh, we this is going to take us a minimum of $2.5 million to start this corporation. We're going to be distributing worldwide, but I didn't ever produce a business plan for you. I'm just talking. See, that's what has happened with Blacks in the Movement. There are 10-point programs that we have, theories about reparations, but where's the blueprint? The blueprint will tell you, first off, it'll define what complete reparations is. First off, it'll tell you who owe us, why they owe us, how much they owe us, and why reparations is good for all of Black America. We had not done that, Brother Joshua, up in only until 3.5 years ago, we had not provided a blueprint for Black America. And so without that, we got different approaches, different theories, but this is why they had not taken us serious as far as reparations.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and take the rest of the praise be to Allah.
All praise to
love all over the world. His name says teach. Thank you, his name of saying that and always showing love. I wanted to ask you, who does owe us reparations?
There are 4 entities, and this is what is key, Brother Joshua. The federal government owes us, there's state and local and municipalities that owe Black people. And one of the things that's left out of the discussion almost all the time, you hear different people hollering about reparations, is that they'll tell you the federal government, but brother, there are select multinational corporations that owe us, nonprofits that owe us, and then Brother Joshua, in our research here at the National Reparations Institute, what we have discovered that there are over 30,000 plantations that are still up and operating in the United States today. They're under different foundations and different businesses, but they made their money off the enslavement and trafficking of Black people, and they're still up and operating today. So all 4 of those, to answer your question, the federal government, select multinational corporations, nonprofits, and then 2 enslavement and formal enslavement plantations that are still up and operating today. All 4 of those bodies owe us today, and they will pay us too.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's stay right there with. So when you say they're still running under a different name, you're saying they made the money off of plantations and now they have another business?
Yeah, well, a lot of times, a lot of the plantations that we found that are up and operating, families, they passed it down from generation to generation. And now a lot of these plantations now are under trust, real estate trust. And then again, they're under different foundation and different names, but you go back and go back to the records, the county records, and you'll find, okay, who owned this plantation? And now you realize it was just transferred to a business or another family member. It's a foundation. It doesn't have the same plantation name, but the location and the records verified that how that property was attained and what it was used for up until the Emancipation Proclamation. That area of that particular land was used for the enslavement of our people and trafficking of our people. And again, there's over 30,000 plantations that are still up and operating. And families of some of the generations later are still running these farming and everything else. But they initially made their fortune off the enslavement and trafficking of Black people.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Reginald. Praise be to Allah that you putting the work in. All right, now, thank you. As his name said, excellent question, an excellent answer and breakdown. I wanted to ask you, for those how can we support you and those who are on the front line dealing with the topic of reparations. Can we share your literature? How can we, promote your website? What can we do?
Well, brother, one of the things that I want our people to be clear about, brother Joshua, too, what you'll hear in the conversation all over the country and parts of the world, too, because reparations is now mainstream. And it's good we're having this conversation. But, in the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been teaching reparations, and he has laid the foundation. And one of the things, brother Joshua, you'll hear from the Black petty bourgeois sector is that they'll tell you about giving me a check. But no, 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 no. There's a major land question that has to be dealt with. The ministers say they owe us a minimum of 8 to 10 states, millions of acres of land. And what you'll notice being left out of the conversation with a lot of the Black bourgeois sector and white liberals who have jumped on board is the land question. And we know land is freedom, justice, and equality. And go back to, for the believers, go back to point number 4. Go back to point number 4. And so when you hear me say complete reparations, we know in point number 4, we're talking about separation, but complete reparations is separation. Mm-hmm. So the key is, again, that land question. And again, we must understand that reparations, brother, will come in various forms. And then let me back up too, so I can give your audience an example that they're ready to pay now, brother Joshua, but we have not organized and united the movement. And so here at the National Reparations Institute, we have 4 objectives. Number 1 is to consolidate and unite the movement. Number 2 is to control our own narrative. Number 3 is to implement the National Reparations Declaration. And then number 4 is to implement the collective culture model that will actually secure reparations for Blacks in America. 4 objectives. And the third one you just asked me about, well, how we can support and educate and enlighten our people, brother Joshua, it is the National Reparations Declaration. It is an 86-page document, and I urge each and every one of the audience members, the believers and audience members, to get a copy of the declaration, because what it will do, again, it will define what complete reparations is, who owe us, why they owe us, how much they owe us, and why reparations is good for all of Black America. And then 2, brother Joshua, what's unique about this document and historic about it, for the first time, brother Josh, we have a quantification scale. Brother Michael Muhammad, Miles 15, designed a quantification scale, brother. And honestly, Allah has blessed us, brother, and we have gotten reviews from all over the country and parts of the world for that quantification scale. We didn't go get Europeans and whites to ask us how to do the calculation. After some months of work, brother Michael developed that scale. Dr. Ray Wimbush called me from Morgan State University, and he said, Professor Muhammad, he said, in my 40 years, I have never seen, he's considered the dean of the movement. He heads the Urban Policy Center at Morgan State. He said, brother, I have never seen a better calculation than what you all provided for us as far as reparations. And so that quantification scale can be retrofitted at the federal, state, or local level, or at the international level. And by Allah's permission, the declaration has been sold different parts of the world. They're looking at the quantification scale that we provided in it. And in that declaration, it is the collective culture model is in there. How do we do reparations? Because again, it made no sense, Brother Josh. I can't come on your show and walk on the campus and get to pay people 300 pages and tell them to read it and figure out reparations. You got to be able to, they got to be able to read it within an hour and a half to 2 hours and say, you know what, this actually makes sense. Oh, we can actually do this. And y'all didn't come with all the theory, all the history, and all of the atrocities. This makes sense. You got the collective culture model, a diagram of the model. You got a diagram of the quantification scale of how you calculate reparations. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Excellent. And let's stay right there.
Okay.
Can you clear the term quantification scale? What does that mean to us? What does it do?
It is a breakdown. It's a numerical breakdown with 4 variables of 4 areas of restitution, that which is owed, or where 4 areas of damage that Black people have to be paid for. And so that quantification scale breaks it down. And then, Brother Joshua, and hopefully all your audience is sitting down, but they owe us a minimum of $83 trillion. Wow. Now, you'll hear segments of the Black bourgeois sector and white liberals say, well, they're in agreement to paying reparations, but it's only up to, they say, and what they focuses on is the Black-white wealth gap. They'll say, well, how we finally fix it and we pay blacks reparations, we're going to give them $14.5 trillion. That will close the wealth gap. But again, the land question, it has to be answered and dealt with. Otherwise, Minister Farrakhan said, if reparations does not include millions of acres of land, he said it's a compromise and it's a sellout. That's what the minister said. And I agree. I'm a student working hard to represent that body of work that the minister has already laid out for us. And so again, Brother Joshua, think about it like this. Let me highlight those 4 areas. Those 4 areas include, number 1 is 300 years of force-free labor. They owe us for 300 plus years of force-free labor. That's in the declaration. Brother, they owe us, let me open the declaration here. Land stolen from Black people in the U.S., force-free labor, 5 centuries of denial, neglect, inequality, and the murder of Blacks, and closing the Black-white wealth gap. Those are 4 areas when you start talking complete reparations. That's what's left out of the discourse, Brother Joshua. And it's our job as students of the minister and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to make sure that our people don't end up with remnants and rations and calling it complete reparations. Because why complete reparations? Because, Brother Joshua, honestly, next year, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, implementing and getting complete reparations, we'll see the homeless rate go down in Black America. We'll see the Black family started to be repaired. We'll see the suicide rate go down in Black America. We'll see the homeless rate go down in Black America and the incarceration rate of Black Americans. We'll start in the abject poverty in Black America. We'll see all of those rates go down with complete reparations. And again, for your audience, Brother Joshua, there are 4 areas that when you start talking about the scale, the quantification scale that we calculated, that Brother Michael calculated to give us complete reparations. Land stolen from Blacks in the U.S., and that's worth about a minimum of 14 million acres of land that was stolen from Blacks. And why do we say that? Up until 1970, Brother Joshua, Blacks were controlling over 15 million acres of land. Now 45 million Black people are reduced to less than 2 million acres of land today. So who's going to feed us if we're down to less than 2 million acres of land? And at one point up until 1970, again, we were controlling over 15 million acres of land. That's number 1, stolen land. Number 2, force-free labor of Blacks from 1555 to 1865. That's over $51 trillion. Why is that so important? Because remember now, 61% of the world's cotton was coming from America. And Blacks were picking cotton throughout the South. We built the entire economy. I had to tell my students all the time, they said, well, Professor Muhammad, why we always got to talk about slavery? That happened so long ago. Why don't y'all get over it? I said, but what you got to realize, the foundation of this country, what do you get out as a result of the enslavement and trafficking of our people? You get the banking institution. There was no international economy. There was no massive banking until Black bodies started to be snatched and dispersed throughout the world. So you get banking, you get the insurance industry, you get the Industrial Revolution. All of that rests off the backs of Blacks who worked this for 300 years with no pay. And so that becomes key and critical. Shipbuilding, all of this, agribusiness that the U.S. was able to produce as a result of the free labor, that came as a result of the enslavement and trafficking of Black people. So in the banking, insurance, shipbuilding, industrial revolution, all of that rests off the backs of our people. And of course, I'm challenged all the time and say, y'all, now you Black people be making up stuff. Y'all want to be victims. Well, you have to have read How Europe Under the Developed Africa by Dr. Walter Rodney, major work. Capitalism and Slavery by Dr. Eric Williams. A People's History of the United States by Dr. Howard Zinn. All major works that show and prove that we didn't just make this up. And of course, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1 and 2. These are all major works, brother, and well documented and prove the calculations that we came up with. But that scale, Brother Joshua, when you read the declaration, and for your audience, Brother Michael, he broke it down stage by stage. And the reason he did it that way, Brother Joshua, because I'm one of those people who struggle with numbers and the advanced mathematics. So, Brother Michael, I said, no, brother, go back. Brother, go back. I got to be able to read that and be able to break it down. So if Pookie is standing on the corner if Pookie or Ray Ray is standing on the corner, if they're in corporate America, they're on the campus or in Congress, when they read it, okay, you know what? This makes sense. We could actually do this. And then too, Brother Josh, we don't have to go get white folks or Asians or anybody to validate what we've done, because over 40 scholars have reviewed the Declaration, and it's the first of its kind. It's a blessing, brother, because Allah revealed it to us. Because again, that was my critique and criticism of the movement that I have been a part of, brother. Where is the blueprint though? We talking about it, and again, we couldn't bring you 300, 400 pages and give that to Pookie standing on the corner and tell Pookie to read this and figure out what we're talking about. Oh man, they throw that back at you, brother. You're wasting our time then. But now the Declaration, it can be utilized by any organization, any leaders, any scholars, any students, any youth, to put them on the road for obtaining and securing complete reparations for the masses of our people.
Go ahead, please.
All praise due to Allah.
Yes, sir. And we have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast, and we're coming right back to our brother Reginald. Please let us know your questions and comments. Thank you very much. We are grateful for every like, share, and subscription. And we're also grateful for every anonymous Cash App that we receive to the People's Podcast. Thank you all very much. One moment.
Any of those services. Sister Miriam's ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, and now Spanish book. All three available on Amazon.com. Sister Naima's Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studios of Atlanta Dress in the best of fashion. Brother Kenneth's Bow Tie Maker Extraordinaire. He'll ship you bow ties anywhere across the nation. Henry Carter's King Henry Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad's COVID-19 Disinfected Cleaning Services, out of Chicago. Student Minister Sharif Muhammad's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, available on adulsharif.com. And lastly, Brother Joshua Muhammad's book, Cleopatra, as well as No Father, No Excuse, both available on Amazon.
Thank you all very much. We're right back with our esteemed guest, Brother Reginald, and we want to thank our YouTube family as well. Sister Auntie, Sister Hope, Brother Musa, Brother Kente, everyone who shows love on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and all of the platforms of the People's Podcast. Thank you, Brother Leon, who's showing love in the chat. Walaikum salam, sir. And we look forward to hearing some new music from you as well. That's our brother Lee. All right, Brother Reginald, I wanted to ask you about reparations as an individual, is it something that you think they'll be given to an individual? Like, okay, for example, if I say reparations for me would be 40 acres and a mule.
Yes, sir.
The people on the West Coast say reparations for them is free education, free healthcare, and then somebody on the East Coast says it's a state.
Yes, sir.
When I see what's going on with the migrants, and there's like, $53 million in New York, or this is going on here, this is going on, will it be given to as a people, reparations, are you saying? Or will it be given to individuals and let them do what they want to do with whatever reparations is?
Okay, at the federal level, remember, at the federal level, right now, there's a bill, HR 40, that is a reparations bill, and Senate Bill 40, a reparations bill, and they've been around over 30 years. Formerly Congressman John Conyers and then Sheila Jackson Lee have made sure that bill is still relevant and is still in Congress now. So reparations at the federal level, that's for the masses of our people. But again, you got individual states now, and you got over 120 municipalities and cities who are organizing and requesting or organizing for reparations. But again, at the federal level, that's for the masses of the people. And then various states and municipalities, they have reparations of packages, and generally that is for those within those particular locations, and a lot of that does break down to the individual. But at the federal level, our concentration at the National Reparations Institute is at the federal level. And again, because we'll speak, our job is as students of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to speak for the masses of our people, not as an individual, but it's to speak and advocate for the masses of our people. And so at the federal level, that's where our concentration is. But the research that we do, Brother Joshua, any municipality, we're consulting with other reparations organizations and individuals at the state as well as the local level. And because our job at the Reparations Institute, we're not a competing organization, we're a policy center and think tank. That was, again, one of my criticisms and critique of the movement. If y'all that mature, where's your research, ongoing research, and in publishing and advocating? Where is that happening at? You can't, reparations, you can't pick it up every Tuesday or every Thursday or once a month and say that you're doing reparation, because it's in the mainstream now. And if we continue to do it like that, brother, again, they will slap a reparations tag on just about anything now and say it's reparations. And then we'll see that it will not move, it will not help the masses of our people, not one iota, if it's not complete reparations. And so our job is to make sure we provide the research, the publishing and distribution of information, and helping our people organize and really uniting the movement.
Go ahead, Reginald. Praise be to Allah.
Thank you. All praise to Allah.
Yes, sir. Sister Minister Aisha out of Phoenix says, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Thank you, everyone who's watching. Okay, I wanted to ask you about the term that was coined by Tariq Nasheed, who's a proponent of reparations, but he specifies fundamental Black Americans.
Yes, sir.
Why? So for those who don't know, that means people who in America, Black people, living in America, not,
yes,
Nigerians, people from Jamaica or the islands or something. Why is that important that there's a distinction made about what type of Black person who lives in America receives reparations, or is that important?
The conversation, Brother Joshua, that's one of the problems in the reparations movement now. And they're good, let's say 15 strong organizations out there. One of the arguments that has broken out and has been starting to become a cancer in the movement is that you got to be able to prove lineage. Some call it Foundation Black America. Some of them call it themselves freedmen. Some of them on the different organizations. But what they are saying, Brother Joshua, is that you got to be able to prove reparations. And so now they're saying that there's an argument that was created by our enemy, and some of those that look like us in the movement, intentionally or out of ignorance. So what we have done is started a division. Well, if you migrated to the United States, and if you can't prove lineage, you can't prove that you're foundational Black America, you don't deserve reparations. So there's a fight, Brother Joshua, believe it or not, in the movement. And again, how did that fight come about? Well, segments of the Black petty bourgeoisie who are not concerned with the masses of the people will tell you, well, if we give everybody reparations, then Black people end up with nothing and everything else. Now, notice this division did not happen when Asian people who got reparations here in America, the Native people who have gotten reparations here in America, the Jewish people who have gotten reparations in America. But the fight has started among us. Well, if you're from the Caribbeans and you can't prove that your people were enslaved here, then you don't deserve reparations. Well, Brother Joshua, the problem with that, there are different stages of reparations. Now, everybody is not going to need the same package as far as reparation. That's why we had to develop what is known as the collective culture model. And the collective culture model, within that model, there are 13 council people who sit on the national council, and they will decide, because we got economists, lawyers, educators, working people, students, and youth sitting at the board to decide what that looks like. So, but the fight has started that, well, if you're not foundational Black American, if you're not ADOS, American descendants of slavery, if you're not freedmen, if you can't prove any of that, reparations. But here's the problem with that, Brother Joshua, and I'll give you a real example. In California, California is the first state to pass a reparations initiative, and they just finished their report recently and submitted to the governor, Gavin Newsom. The problem with that, Brother Joshua, what they said from the very beginning, Black bourgeois sector pushed the 9 commissioners in California, pushed them into a corner before they had done any research about who to receive reparations. Said, if you can't prove lineage, you can't get reparations. Now, Brother Joshua, you've been to Los Angeles, and I've been to Los Angeles County. Brother, there are over 10,000 Black people that are homeless in Los Angeles County. Where do they have the resources or the means to prove lineage? You're talking about people who have been systematically locked out, locked under, locked in for generations. And now they got to go back and prove lineage. Otherwise, they can't get reparations. Where did that argument come from? The Black petty bourgeoisie, white liberals, and white conservatives. That criteria was never put on anybody else who have gotten and received reparations from America and American corporations. So it's an argument that is in the and it has divided the reparations movement. I can name 7 or 8 organizations, and you interview them at some point, there's an argument, but where did that argument come from? And I'm suggesting that the masses of our people deserve reparations. So there are people who are saying, well, your people came from the island. So Marcus Garvey, any of his children, and I was just with his son, Dr. Julius Garvey out of New York. You're saying that even some of the Garvey relatives or part of the line of when Garvey first came here, or you're talking about even the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you're saying because they migrated here at some point, they don't deserve reparations. Well, here's the problem with that, Brother Joshua. Right here in Georgia, thousands of people, it was known as the cleansing of Forsyth County. Well, there was some of those people that came that were removed from their land and townships around America. Some of them did migrate, but they deserve reparations for the damage in the land that was stolen. How can we say that they disqualified for the land? Anybody else, whether they any other immigrant, European immigrant, if they had been violated in that way and their land was taken, they would be receiving compensation. So how do we let that argument creep into the argument and to the movement? It has become a cancer in the movement. And again, I'm suggesting to you that the enemy made sure that now we fighting over proving that nobody has gotten anything as far as reparations, really. And but now the fight has come in the movement that you got to be able to prove that. Well, the problem with that too, Brother Joshua, if you got to be able to prove lineage, if you say that I'm foundational Black America, and if you can't prove you foundational Black America, you don't get reparations. If you can't prove you ADOS, you don't get reparations. Well, the question is with the level of abject poverty in Black America, where's the masses of our people got the resources to go and prove lineage? Now, the other problem is that what you gonna do? You're gonna go back to your former slave masters, their grandchildren today, and they gonna validate and tell you these are the people that we gonna pay? See, where self-respecting people do that, though. People who are self-determining, self-respecting, and self-defending, they're not going to let the enemy and the former slave masters' children decide who's qualified and who's not qualified. So that's the problem with the argument. But all about to answer your question, I said all that to say the masses of our people deserve reparations. And of course, there are different forms of reparations. I'm going to give you an example. Black farmers don't need you to give them a cash payout. They need irrigation systems. They need equipment, the biggest John Deere tractors and equipment that they can find. They need communication systems. That's what they need. And then again, think about the millions of young brothers and sisters, Brother Joshua, who will never matriculate or graduate from anybody's college or university. The masses of our children who are below the poverty level, they deserve free vocational training. See, when we start trying to divide them up and say, you got to prove this, who you going back to prove it to? Your former slave master's grandchildren? See that it's an argument that's problematic. And then the other problem with it too, Brother Joshua, those who subscribe to it, what you'll see, they are anti-Pan-African. There's an argument. Anybody who's been in the movement, they anti Pan-African, brother, but that strengthens our argument for reparations in America, believe it or not, at the federal level, because all of the resources that we need to be sustainable and successful for the remainder of the 21st century, America, if it's going to remain a superpower, it has to have those resources in Africa. But when we link up with our people in Africa, brother, and right now the movement in Africa is going on strong. They just did an international conference in November. African leaders came from all over the world and declared, and they're real strong on the reparations position, and along with the African Union. Now, those who are saying, not all of them, but some of the heads of these organizations who are pushing lineage and saying you got to be able to prove it, they have taken an anti-Pan-African position. Now we divide, and they're talking about, well, somebody will take something from blacks. If everybody's included in blacks will end up with nothing. When has that ever happened, Brother Josh? Yes, during the civil rights movement, you allowed whites to decide what public policy looked like, and they wrote the legislation. So they wrote white women in there and as other minorities, and so yeah, they benefited from it. But with this reparations piece, our strength comes in our unity. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about our unity, brother. Our success is our unity. And so wherever we can unite the factions, whether they're from Central or South America, the Isles of the Pacific, all over what they call the Middle East, we know it is Northeast Africa. When we unite all those factions, brothers, that puts us in a stronger position. Because think about it, down in the Caribbean, all the little island nations down there under an organization called CARICOM, they're very clear on the reparations question. And you will see the work in 2015. You see the minister at Chicago State University with Dr. Henry Beckles. That's the organization that he's part of, CARICOM. He wrote the book, Britain's Black Debt, that the minister was there with them in Chicago to celebrate the publishing of that book in 2015. They're very organized. They're organizing on the continent of Africa, Brother Joshua. They're organizing in Europe. And we got a faction of people here saying, well, nobody else, if you're not foundational Black America, if you're not ADOS, if you're not Freedmen, then we don't need anybody else involved in our movement. See, brother, that's either fear or that's ignorance, brother. And again, we gotta call it the way we see it. And then again, because again, our job is to unite the movement.
Yes, sir. Excellent. And people will bear witness. Sister Miriam says teach. And thank you all very much. I wanted to ask you, the Native Americans with their reparations, was it casinos? Was it property? Like, could you let us know, do we need the same type of package that they got? Or like what is the comparison between Black people in America and the Native American as far as the reparations? What does that look like?
Well, the natives have gotten, I would say, rations, brother, at the end of the day. Remnants and rations. Why? Because remember, Brother Joshua, along with blacks here in America, from the West Coast to the East Coast, North and South, before Europeans got here, they owned all of those land masses throughout the United States. And go back and again read the book of People's History of the United States. Go read Ivan Van Sertima's work. They came before Columbus, meaning Black people in America. And so at the end of the day, Brother Joshua, we have to be, the Native people have gotten some of the land, but much of the land that they were promised. There are hundreds of treaties, and America's broken damn near every one of them. And so over the last 40 to 50 years, they have attempted to address some of that. And so ours is a major land question. And America has major tracts of land that, and again, the minister said 8 to 10 states. One of the things that we do in the declaration, we present the minister with 12 states, and he can tell us which of those 12 would be the best. Because in the breakdown of the declaration, it tells you what's in those states right now in farming, what is already you able to produce in those states, what states that have oil in them, which states have can grow different crops, which states are good for chemical processing. All of that is in the declaration. And so at the end of the day, but Joshua, the Native people still, brother. And one of the problems with the native people, brother, is because of their disrespect of the natives and disrespect of the land. The native people had never really developed a model and a methodology for securing reparations because, again, they had been locked out systematically, locked out, locked under, and locked in, and faced centuries and centuries of abject poverty and humiliation by white folks. And so, well, I should say not all white folks, but the white ruling class at least. And so they have never been properly compensated. They have gotten in various parts of the United States, I can show you at least 7 times where Native people have gotten some form of restitution or reparations. Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, sir. Now I wanted to ask you, do they have a leader or someone who's working on their behalf? Are they coming organized? And that's what I'm saying. What are they doing to get, like, who's advocating for them so that we can make sure that we get the same thing, the support system to support you and the movements of, the reparation foundations?
Well, Brother Joshua, one of the things that I say as a political scientist is that Blacks will be able to secure reparations once we organize. And then 2, Brother Joshua, we have a clear blueprint, the National Reparation Declaration. And then the other thing is, Brother Joshua, anytime we dealing with the white ruling class, and I'm talking about internationally, nationally, and locally, there is always an international, national, and local, a white ruling class. That's not all white people. But if you don't come to them with a quid pro quo, then you just talking. And one reason why you asked the question earlier, we have been pleading, protesting, picketing. We've had prayer breakfasts even over reparations. And why we still have not been taken seriously, because again, we have not issued America an ultimatum. Okay, and when you say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, one of the things that's in the declaration that my students have to have learned over the last 5 years that I've been teaching is that it is called the quadruple-based paradigm. The quadruple-based paradigm says that all economic and political decisions by that international ruling class, all economic and political decisions are made based on what? 4 components or 4 variables. Will it help or hurt their power base, their profit base, their policy base, and privilege base? Let me go over that again.
Yes, sir.
The quadruple-based paradigm, and it's a diagram actually in the declaration. Will it help or hurt their power base, their profit base, their policy base, and privilege base? That's how they make all of their decisions. And again, too often, Brother Joshua, and to the audience, is that we want to engage in politics in a social and emotional way. We want white folks in that white ruling class to be equitable. We want them to be just, fair, and be human. But they don't make their decisions like that. They're in Northeast Africa, the Middle East today, because it's helping their power base and their profit base, their policy base and privilege base. That's how they make their decisions. It ain't based on what's going to be just and fair. You say, why would they continue to bomb and do all of this? Because at the end of the day, they're looking at strategically, are they going to be strategically fit and successful for the remainder of the 21st century? Well, they're looking at, you can break it down, Brother Joshua, and I, by Allah's permission, as a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Mr. Farrakhan, we can go and defend this position at any point in any time. They make all of their decisions. Will it help or hurt their power base, their profit base, their policy base, and privilege base? And so that's how reparations will be decided in America. And what has to come within the collective culture model? A quid pro quo. If Black folks say that, you know what, wait a minute, we're going to organize, we're going to stop set tripping. Brother Josh, I'm telling you my age now. We're going to stop set tripping and we're going to unite the movement. We have a blueprint and we're going to come together. We're going to forget all the little things that stop us from coming together and uniting. And we're going to tell America at the federal level, you all, and we're going to tell multinational corporations that owe us that here's the bill that is due. This is what you owe us. We can go in and calculate right now, Brother Joshua, what Chase Bank owes us and Wells Fargo, because they made their money, their initial billions of dollars off the enslavement and trafficking of Black people. In Europe, the Lords of London banks, the Barclay banks, they were all involved in transatlantic enslavement and trafficking of Black people. And so we can go in there and calculate that with that quantification scale that Brother Michael designed. We can go in there and calculate what they really owe us. Brother Joshua, by Allah's permission, economists have looked at this scale. Dr. Darity at Duke University, who wrote a great work in 2020, is called From Here to Equality, Reparations for Blacks in the 21st Century. It is a 416-page book. 416-page book, widely sold, but that Darity's got a copy of the Declaration because I put it in his hand at Spelman College. And Brother Joshua, we have the reviews of it and that quantification scale. We can go in and calculate and tell you. Brother Joshua, last year in 2023, early 2023, front page of the Wall Street Journal, Harvard University agreed to pay $100 million in reparations. Why did they do that? Because they know we coming. We mentioned them in the book, and students got copies of the ebook and copies of the Declaration. They know we coming. So they're gonna jump out there and say it's $100 million. But when you compound the interest on what they owe us, it's billions of dollars. And I leave that up to Brother Michael. You're gonna have to have him on the show at some point, brother, because he's the scholar and the scientist that Allah blessed to develop that quantification scale that they're utilizing now, brother. So
yes, sir. So okay, but Harvard put up 100 million. Okay, that's the start. That's the start. Okay, 100 million. I didn't know that. Okay, 100 million.
Yeah, honestly, it was front page of the Wall Street Journal in 2023 that they agreed $100 million. There are others who are going to be coming along, Brother Joshua, because they see the reparations movement picking up steam, and they're saying, "Oh, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to provide free scholarship." Now, when does the self-respecting people allow the criminal to decide what the punishment is going to be? So they're jumping out there, Brother Joshua, into the audience and to the believers, is because they know we can calculate it now. And they know that once we compound the interest like you do any damages, and in law, we call it, they're either compensatory damages and they're punitive damages for the injury that a people has suffered. And so they know that we know it and how to do it. We got legal scholars, we got lawyers, we got attorneys, we got economists. We got working people, educators, historians on board. And so this is why we've been blessed to develop what is called the collective culture model that will actually secure reparations for Blacks in America. But now go back to this quid pro quo. When just to give you a hint, when next year, when the students around the country, Brother Josh, like yourself, you all have mastered all these gadgets. You have mastered all these gadgets. When we step to Wells Fargo and say, look, you all have already admitted, yes, some of the founding members were involved in the transatlantic enslavement and trafficking, how you made a fortune. Yes, so what? We're not doing anything about it. Oh, you're not? All these gadgets that you all have mastered, Brother Josh, and my children, you all closed 10,000 accounts in 2 days. They come to the table. See, there's a quid pro quo now. Because their bottom line, does this help or hurt our power base, our profit base, our policy base, and privilege base? That's how they make their decision. Too many of us are still trying to appeal to their humanity and asking them to be human. Brother, we've been organizing for reparations for over 100 years. We had Queen Mother Moore. We've had Callie House, Dorothy Benton Lewis. May Allah be pleased, Sister Viola Plummer. Just featured in the final call. These are all reparationists, women who have been in the forefront and in part of today's movement. But that's how having that quid pro quo, when we step to them, they will start to come with reparations, Brother Joshua. Yes, sir.
And yes, sir. And thank you, Reginald. We have been fed today. You given us so much, given a lot of information as well as inspiration. And I'm just glad to have the honor of knowing you, that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. And I look forward, and I witnessed you inviting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to events and seeing you on the campus, seeing your work. This has been something that you've been very passionate about for decades. So it's great to see that you know your information. And I just want to make sure that we all support our brother and support the movement support the book, the declaration, and I want to make sure that, do you have any events coming up that you need us to come? You just watch online. What can we do?
Well, all of that, we need your support, because we're not backed except by Allah and the people.
Yes,
and
sir.
so we need our people to go into our website, nationalreparationsinstitute.org. nationalreparationsinstitute.org. Please order the copy of the declaration. And Brother Joshua, by Allah's permission, we have over 16 citations in it. It ain't just a bunch of rhetoric, but you will see, if we say Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam, it can be proven in no limited time. Go back and look at the scale that Brother Michael has done. Look at what the scholars have said about it. You can go to our website and order the ebook. It's there, or order your copy, and we'll make sure it's out. And we will be at Savior's Day. Please come by and support our work, because Brother Joshua, I can't do what you do. I can't do what anybody, each one of us on this broadcast, brother, has a skill and a talent that Allah has blessed us with. My job is to secure complete reparations for the masses of our people, and be a good representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us about reparation. Be very clear. And when you read the declaration, you'll see that we have not deviated. You'll see that our foundation, where it is. But we need your support. We will be at Savior's Day. From there, I'm going to be in Detroit speaking. I'll be in Flint, Michigan, a couple days while we're there teaching on reparations. Anybody has an organization or community-based civic spiritual organization you would like us to come to the city and not do it like this. Honestly, we will have it in sync. We won't be jumping around. We'll lay out the case for complete reparations for our people, and show how all of us can get involved in this reparations movement. And Brother Joshua, we open up the declaration. Let me tell you how we open up the declaration. And now we've got to be accountable for our generation and leave our children and our grandchildren a future. And the future is reparatory justice. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Chicago State University. And now we've got to be accountable for our generation and leave our children and our grandchildren a future. And the future is reparatory justice. That's the National Reparation Declaration. We build it off what the minister has asked us and instructed us to do. And so we ask for your support, and be clear, Brother Joshua, when you honestly read the declaration, if it's not what I said, that's contained in it, will be no money. There will be no argument with you. We'll give you a full refund on it, but clearly define what complete reparations is, who owes, why they owe us, how much they owe us, and why reparations is good for all of America. It contains a chapter in there with the quantification scale that I talked about. That's a chapter in itself. The quadruple-based paradigm, which we were blessed to design, that's in there. The collective culture model, that's all in there. And the collective culture model, Brother Josh, this didn't just happen the last few years. About 15 years ago, somebody heard a lecture that I had given, and I was working on my master's. And my critique of the movement, we didn't have a clear blueprint, a model, or methodology for doing reparations. And just as I thought I was about to finish, they came to me, the committee, and said, "Yeah, you're right. And so why don't you design a model that could be used for reparations?" Because I had looked at all the organizations, the leading organizations at that time, and nobody had. They had points and ideas about it, but they had certainly not laid out a clear model and a methodology for securing reparations. And again, that was a roadmap that I felt that we needed, and I still think that we need it today. So we ask you for your support, and please give us a call, go to our website, order the declaration. Please let me shake your hand. Let me meet you at Savior's Day, and where we will be disseminating that information and working hard to represent our people as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has instructed us in this case, in our demand for reparations.
Excellent. And on that positive note, we want to thank you again on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast for all of your sacrifices, for your representation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings and reparations. We thank Allah for you and your family. May Allah continue to bless you all. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Brother Barry says assalamu alaikum. Sister Shelly says assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Thank you all very much. She put the website in the group chat, in the chat. Thank you very much. Boom. Okay, boom. People are talking about declarations in the movement. Excellent. Praise be to Allah.
Thank you, brother. All praises due to Allah.
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Josh, can I leave with my final motto?
Yes, sir.
Bali, Brother Joshua, again, thank you, and thank each and every one of you who took the time out to hear what we had to say on reparations today. And thank you all for the love and the support that you all have given me and given the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We know in early 2000, he came a number of times to Atlanta to deal with the question of reparations. And so we were just so blessed and thankful, and we have been feeding off of that. And this year, Brother Joshua, if you go back 20 years ago, the minister did a lecture called in 2004, What Europe and America Owes.
That's right.
Brother, this year in October, that will be the 20th anniversary of that lecture. That is significant because it is the largest public lecture on reparation that had ever been given anywhere in the world. It is the largest lecture publicly, because remember now, we show and document that lecture via satellite at that time in 2004 was shown on at least 3 continents and 190 cities. Hold on.
Thank you all who was watching and showing love, and boom. Thank you, Brother Alton Cubby, who says family. Thank you very much. We're waiting on Brother Reginald, who just went out. All right. Hey, okay. So thank you everyone who's watching. Excellent. All right. Well, while we wait on our brother, I just want to say, speaking of 2004, that lecture that was large, I didn't know that was the largest lecture ever given on reparations, but I was there by the grace of God, and I got to hear that lecture, and it's one of the most important lectures I've ever heard in my life, and it was a great lecture, and one of the reasons that you all see the People's Podcast today is because of that exact lecture. I thank Allah for my mother, Sharifah Muhammad, my father, Minister Sharif, and Mimi Naima Rashad, who went with us that day to that lecture. That was a Savior's Day lecture that helped save my life. So I'm always going to remember that 2004 lecture. Boom. Brother Reginald's right back with it. Reginald? Okay. Boom. Let me stop saying person. Let me, you don't even remember that lecture. I don't think you remember it. But yeah, that was the lecture that brought it all back together. My brother Reginald figures it out. Yep, waiting up Reginald. All right. Got a sound situation going on. But yes, Naima, I'm glad that you remember that lecture. Rashida Ilyasa was there. That was just a great time. So, yeah, that reparations lecture was phenomenal. But Reginald, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it on the next time. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. Thank you all for watching. Assalamu alaikum.